The Antichrist will come, he will kill the Antichrist, then he will be a follower of Prophet Muhammad. Because now is the time of Prophet Muhammad, right?
I'm talking about the relationship with the Jewish people.
I'm explaining right now, right? And when he comes, he will be a follower of Prophet Muhammad, meaning that the Jewish as well, Jewish people, they have to follow Prophet Muhammad as well, as Prophet Muhammad said.
But the Jewish people
So when
don't follow Isa.
at his time, people must follow Isa, which is Jesus Christ, because he's the only prophet at that time. Right? Understand? He was sent to them, so they must follow him.
But they didn't.
Exactly.
So they weren't saved.
So
So they weren't saved. So by definition, the Savior...
there are people who follow
the
him. Not
Saviour
everyone.
of
Not
the
everyone.
Jewish people
That's
didn't save them.
that's a wrong analogy to
Some
make.
people did follow him.
Please. It's a wrong analogy. It's a wrong analogy to make, right? Because not all Jewish people did not follow Jesus Christ. You just said that no one followed him. There are
didn't
people
say
who
no
follow.
one followed
Yes. So there are people who followed him. So he was sent, and there are people who followed. There are prophets who sent that no one followed them. No one followed them. They will come with no
So he
followers.
saved a few.
He did not save anyone. It's your choice. He comes, he gives you the revelation. Whether you take or you don't take.
The existence of Isa saved some Jewish people.
Just like any other prophet.
But what do you mean saved when you said saved?
Well, I mean, in
Followed
the
him,
case of
basically.
anointed the Christ was in the
Not
Torah,
only
in
some
the
Jewish
Torah,
people.
in the Torah, the Christ and the Anointed One is meant to be the Savior of Israel.
Let me elaborate as well. Anyone after Jesus who followed the teachings of Jesus as he said to them is also saved. Jesus does not have to be in existence until the next prophet comes. You understand? So from the time,
that's not the issue. Is
so Jesus did not save two people, three people at his time.
that in the Torah, it predicted the first coming, or the first coming of the Anointed
Which
One,
Torah?
Christ.
The one that exists today.
Huh?
The one that exists today.
Not the one.
Oh,
So no, but I mean that's all we've got, isn't it? Because you're
wait.
saying that the other one.
Let me clarify. Look. You said that Jesus saved a few people, right?
No.
Listen, please. Okay, let me say what I was going to say. Jesus said that whoever followed him correctly, whoever did, after him until Prophet Muhammad. From his time till Prophet Muhammad.
That's missing the point that I'm making.
Yes.
And that is that by the Torah predicts the first coming, and you're saying that even in the real Torah,
The coming of someone,
even in the
right?
real Torah, no,
Yes. The coming of the Christ, of the Messiah.
Christ,
The Messiah, yeah.
the Messiah, who is
That's
the
the
anointed
someone
one
that I mean.
to save Israel.
No,
That was the purpose
we don't have
of the
that
Messiah.
understanding of to save Israel. Now you added that. I said the anointed one. I never said anointed to save Israel. Now you understood
Well,
that I
think
said
that was
that.
the definition in the Torah.
No.
That's what the Jewish people
They,
are waiting for.
do you know how many messiahs there are in Judaism?
No, I know, but that's what the
Okay,
Jewish
so
people-
you said that is what they believe. The word Messiah is understood to be anyone who's anointed to do anything, king, ruler, anything. So when we say Messiah, we mean then the understanding of it, anointed to do something, to be a prophet, to be a messenger. We never said to be a savior. Now you understood that. That's maybe was making that exists today, right? So this is what is making the misunderstanding. I think this is what is making the conflation. Anyways, we jump into the
It's a
different
shame
topics,
that
right?
Allah has created has created everything and provided the Torah to the Jewish people, to Israel, who followed him over 2,000 years, who followed the guidance of Allah through 2,000 years, and yet their book is not even dependent in any way, really.
The Torah that you have today, right? The earliest written account of the Torah is when? Do you know?
553 BC.
553 BC. That's how many years after Moses? So now what you're talking about, what you say the Torah, this is not the original Torah. It's something that was written, that was found 1,200 years after Moses, right? We're talking about the Torah that was given unto Moses. It was for the people of Moses. So if someone between two prophets, Islamically, if someone between two prophets, he did not ascertain the true guidance of God, meaning that he got a guidance that was changed, misinterpreted.
It's a shame that
You know, now we
Moses-
finished,
yeah,
and you said
okay.
it's a shame straight.
Hashem in whose part? Hashem in whose part?
well, okay,
It's-
but
it's-
I'll let you finish.
Okay, it's
Jesus
good.
hate
You know, Ali
themselves
finished. You
corrupted.
didn't finish, all right. So, if two people, right, if some people were at a period between two prophets, they got a guidance which was not complete or full, was misinterpreted, and they follow it sincerely, right? Or they didn't follow at all. These people did not get at the true guidance. These people have a different account of the day of judgment in Islam. Meaning that the only people who are accountable are the ones who get the true guidance from the Prophet. Now, I don't know why you keep saying it's a shame, right? But I want to, let's go back to our main discussion anyways. Our main discussion was about the Quran, right?
Yeah.
So it was about,
I would
before,
like you- I would
do
like
you remember
to answer-
my
I want to go to that main.
but you want to make a question?
I do. I just where I put to you two options, and I put forward an option that would make more sense to me. I'm not saying it's right. I think it's interesting for people to think about it, and I think it's interesting to hear why it's wrong. So the idea
It's wrong.
is
My
no,
view.
no, my
Oh,
idea
yeah,
is
sure.
wrong. So,
You're right, yeah. But I could be wrong
need
as
to be
well.
defensive.
Don't think that I'm saying I could not be wrong.
Well,
I could be wrong.
No, according to Islam, according to what you know.
No,
So-
yeah, yeah, sure.
So, you know, my argument, your argument is this is the
No, you misunderstood my
no,
argument.
the-
I know you'll go back to something.
Quran is eternal.
No. I said let's go back to to what did we begin? What did I begin to say? I began to say that this is. Remember, our point was about revelation that comes from higher being, right? This was our main point. Prior to all this talk about eternality, I will tell you why.
I said
Then I told you there's
the
two
only
split.
eternal
Two.
was
Sorry, I'm
creation.
speaking over you, or you speaking over me now. My point was that this book provides two falsification tests. Then we derived into that. This was our main argument. That I said it cannot be imitated. Then I talked about mistakes and errors in it. That's prior to all this that we spoke about. And then I said, this is a necessity that is coming from the higher being, that it would be like this. And it's a challenge to people who will say it's not. So I was providing some evidence. Then we derived into all of that.
Well, I mean, this is what you said that, but actually what I asked you was anything other than the Creator eternal. But latterly, you said that the Quran is eternal, and that is outside of time. And
The
that
Quran
means
is-
that
yeah.
that means that the events of the Quran preceded.
You miss.
Preceded. The
No, you miss.
events
You
in-
miss. You miss. What is it called? No. Misrepresenting me, right? I told you, that what you just did here is that you separated the Quran, which is the words of Allah, from Allah. So you said there are two things now which are eternal, and I told you no, they're not separate. And this is on camera, right? So you misrepresented
No,
me.
I
Yes.
totally agree. No,
Okay,
I totally
so-
agree with that. That's
yes,
what you said.
yes.
I
So,
don't understand.
please don't misrepresent
No,
me.
I don't understand that, but that wasn't the point.
Sure.
The point
So they're
was-
not different.
No, I'm not.
Not two
I
things
agree
which
with
are
what you just
eternal.
said, but,
It's one.
I mean, I don't necessarily agree that the words of Allah are...
You don't have to agree. This is the Islamic. You're asking about the Islamic point of view, right?
What we can kind of agree is that you've got the eternal information, the knowledge.
How long have we been? 48 minutes? Okay. We need to finish them because it's long. Yeah. Go
The
ahead.
eternal knowledge that's in the Quran had to have happened at preceding Muhammad in order for Muhammad to receive the Quran. So the references that are in the Quran have to have happened before. And you went on to say, well, everything.
What do you mean by that?
everything's predicted. Well, because if this is eternal
Happen what,
outside of time
physically?
and space, no. If this is what the Word of God was in eternity, then all of the things that were inside the Quran had to have happened prior to Muhammad's birth and the recitation. And therefore it had to be all determined by that eternal knowledge. And I don't think we're in disagreement with that.
I think, I think I understand. We are on agreement with that.
We're probably
right?
in agreement.
Yes.
So that means
so
that-
we now we're talking about philosophy. Now we're talking about determinism and liberalism, and we are in the middle.
Okay.
We're not right.
But actually,
So we believe in determinism and free choice in the same time, right? So the acts that is happening, there's a school of thought that is between determinism and liberalism. I forgot the name of the school of thought. What is it called? You forgot. We're in a kind of a middle understanding of this school of thought, right? So you have a free will, and these things are written. Just because they're written, it does not mean that you will do them because they're written.
Well, the characters such as Noah, Abraham, Moses,
It's written.
they all had to have done everything
No.
they did
It's
in
because
order for it to
listen.
be written.
It's because they did it, or they're going to do it in the future. It was written.
But it's determined then, isn't it?
No, because they choose to do it, and Allah knows that they will choose to do it. It was written before.
If it's written before, they can't choose.
No. Now you're assuming that this written text is presented onto them, and then they had to
Oh,
follow.
no, I'm not presuming that.
Okay, let me give you an example, right?
I'm
If
not presenting that at all.
Let me give you an example. If
saying
I'm,
it's written.
can I give you an example? If I'm a school teacher, right, and there are students, this is example about the written only, right? The explanation of the written, right? It's all right. So it's all right. So if I'm a school teacher, right, and there's students, I have the knowledge that this student doesn't study, he's gonna fail. This student is good, he's gonna be the first in the class, right? And then I have a piece of paper on our right. John is gonna be the first. Mark is gonna be the last. Does not mean because I wrote it prior to the event happening that I forced them to do the event. John chose to not to study or to study, and Mark chose not to study or to study. So now, what you just said, right, is it being written prior to it, doesn't mean that they were forced to do it. They had the free choice to do it.
However, if you're
You
that
understand
school
what I'm saying?
teacher, if you're that school teacher and you write that down when you're 5 years old, that when you were 27 and you were a school teacher, John would come first and Mark would come
What do you
second.
mean?
Well, if what I'm saying is that analogy is, if say if you were 5 years old, you're going to be a school teacher when you're 27, and you're going to have a class with John and Mark in.
No, you misunderstood my example there.
But you're interrupting me. So what I'm saying
but you
is,
misunderstood me.
No, I haven't misunderstood. It's like
I
I'm
don't
saying
talk
if-
about 27 or 5 years old.
No, I know, but I'm just giving an additional analogy.
Okay.
And if you are, so I'd say it's more analogous than what you said, is that preceding even any kind of direct knowledge of that person, you're writing down who comes first, who comes last, and if you're all powerful, that has to happen. So they can't not happen. You can't have an
Why?
eternal
Why?
event. So
No, if I'm all powerful, I'm allowed to give them the free choice to not do it, to choose.
then it's not written. Then. It's
No,
not eternal.
if you're all powerful,
If this is all true.
listen. Tell me if this true. Is this true or false? If you're all powerful, you can give human beings the will to do what they want to do, even though it's written. Yes, there is no contradiction there, and this is what we believe. God, because He's all powerful, He gave us the choice, and it's written. This is our Islamic understanding. You understanding it or not understanding it, that's something beyond us or understanding of human beings in Islam. This is what we believe, right? Because it's an all-powerful being. It's not you and me, right? So what He does is not what you and me will do. So this is our Islamic understanding.
That's a caveat to get, or that's a way of kind of getting out
Your
of
understanding.
the aspect
You're
of,
not in my understanding.
aspect of determinism. And ultimately,
No, we don't believe in
ultimately-
determinism, complete determinism. You're believing in complete determinism, I believe. Well, that's what you're trying to put forward now.
I'd
We
say
don't.
it's either complete
We don't believe in that. We believe that you have free will. No, there's a school, a middle school.
there's a school, but
Okay,
I'm saying-
why did you discard it? It's your opinion.
I'm saying that
Yeah.
that it, for me.
For you,
in-
okay, thank you. So it's your opinion.
Soft determinism doesn't actually.
No, it's not called soft determinism. There's something else.
Well, doesn't-
Compatibilism.
Well, I know.
Compatibilism.
But doesn't really make sense. Is what
To
I
you?
would say.
To
Yeah,
you?
to me, yeah.
Makes sense to me. Because it necessitates, if the being is all powerful, he can do that. Logical sense. The being is all powerful, he's able to make this scenario. Where does it not make sense there? You cannot say this is illogical. Why? Because the being is all powerful as you describe him, as we describe him. He's able to put this scenario into place. That's it.
Well, no, if he's all powerful, basically everything is put into place, really. And in order for those things to happen, not only does somebody have
As
to
all powerful,
follow.
can he make the scenario or not?
Well, in the all powerful, the issue
Understanding.
Is, in the all powerful understanding, that's totally fine.
Okay, this is what we're doing.
But the issue is,
There's no issue.
effectively,
Yeah.
well, no, in my mind,
Yeah,
in my
sure.
mind, if you're going to convince me,
I don't want to convince you.
no, if you
Why
were
did
going-
you assume that I
No,
would
no, no, I
convince
said
you?
if you were going to convince me,
Sure.
not that you want to. I don't know whether you wanted what you want to do. I said if
I'm just
you
delivering the message to you
well, if you
as much as I can.
if you were to convince me, it has to make kind of intelligible, cohesive sense. Obviously, you can always say, well, it's unknown.
No, but you
it's
haven't told
unknown.
me. You haven't
Then
told
you
me.
could say that about
no.
every little argument.
I didn't.
that
I
everyone
didn't.
has.
I gave you a cohesive, logical answer, which was that because he's all powerful, he's able to create that scenario.
He could do whatever. But
Okay.
the issue
So that's
is
the
that
cohesive
he can
answer.
make everything as it is, projects everything, knows everything. The question is then, what's the point?
Because the point is that these people that would be coming into existence, they have free will. And he gave it to them in his scenario.
They can't use free will
They can.
if all of these other things are going to happen.
Which other things?
Well, all the things that are predicted. All the times when they go
They can.
against.
They can.
Well, not with free will, you know.
In an all powerful understanding of God, you can.
So Adam and Eve must forget the rule that Allah gives to them.
The what? Sorry.
Adam and Eve must forget the rule that Allah gave.
What is the rule?
Don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good
Why
and
do you
evil.
assume Islamically that is the rule? Wait. Why do you assume in Islamic that is the rule? Now you use the biblical
You're not-
understanding.
So okay. So I don't know the exact Islamic.
Sure.
So what was it? So in Judeo-Christianity, they say that Adam and Eve disobeyed God. In Islam, I believe they forgot. What did they forget?
No, they disobey God.
Oh, that's not what I've heard
Feeling
from.
free will. Out of their
So
free
the
choice.
Quran it does
They
not
were not
matter. It
forced.
does not
Okay,
matter
what did
what
they
you have
disobey?
heard,
What did
right?
they disobey?
I will give you the Islamic understanding, right? The Quran says فَعَصَى آدَمُ رَبَّهُ. Asa in language, right? In Arabic language, means disobey.
Yeah, what did they disobey?
They ate from the tree.
From the tree. So
Yes.
why were you contradicting what I was saying? I mean, the
No,
details may-
it's not the same understanding that you have. So they did not come to earth because they were ate from the tree. It's a different story.
I didn't say that. I
Yes.
just said they disobeyed.
So I said
You're taking their free will away.
No. I said they disobeyed, and you contradicted.
okay, they disobeyed.
They
yes.
disobeyed.
Yes.
So when Allah created Adam and Eve,
Yes.
He knew that they would disobey.
Yes.
And He knew. So it's all kind of determined, really, from that point onwards.
I showed you in a scenario where knowledge doesn't mean determinism, and you know that I already showed you that example. Just because Allah knows doesn't mean that He forced them to do it. You're conflating knowledge with forcing someone to do an action. This is what He's doing. He's conflating both. So it's clear, and I believe it's very clear that knowledge is there, but there is no force capacity to force someone to do anything.
Maybe if you explain
No,
it-
he understood. I think.
No, I know what you're saying, but these are difficult things to describe, and I don't feel it's
very
convincing.
difficult. It's
I
very
don't feel
difficult.
it's convincing.
You didn't tell me why.
Well, like if I know who's going to win the 3
Premier
o'clock
League.
race.
No, you can know who's going to win the Premier League, but it doesn't mean that you made this team win the Premier League. They did their own effort and they won the Premier League.
So you're saying that that it's only knowledge, foresight that Allah has. He doesn't have power.
I never said that.
I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have power, but
Okay,
I
maybe-
never said
maybe
that.
if you say Allah knows it in a descriptive way, not in an imperative way, you might better understand
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Allah recorded what will happen, yeah? What our action will be in a descriptive way, not an imperative way, if it makes sense
So
to you.
he knows it in a descriptive way, and therefore he can pretty much write, as you said, and has done, write the whole of existence of humans.
Yes, yeah.
It's unchangeable.
I think we're going back in circles, I believe. Look. Wait, my brother, wait. I think we're going back in circles. I think we're going back in circles. I think we're going. Yes, it has. But it doesn't mean it has to happen in the way it's written.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean